Hi everyone, it's the early hours of the 1st of November 2024. I hope you're doing really well. My name is Gary Waterman. I'm a former UK police constable, a Christian and a victim of this international government fraud that also links to the intelligence agencies being complicit. And this is in relation to that. And it's an article that was on the BBC on the 8th of October 2024. And it says on the left-hand side there, Russia on a mission to cause mayhem on UK streets, warns MI5. Reading on, it says Russia's intelligence agency has been on a mission to generate sustained mayhem on British and European streets, the head of MI5 has said. Giving his annual update on security threats faced by the UK, Ken McCallum said GRU agents had carried out arson, sabotage and more dangerous action conducted with increasing recklessness in Britain after the UK backed Ukraine in its war with Russia. MI5 had also responded to 20 plots backed by Iran since 2022, although it added the majority of its work still mostly involved Islamist extremism, followed by extreme right-wing terrorism. The complex mix of terror-related threats and threats from nation-states meant MI5 had one hell of a job on its hands, he warned. I'm not going to read all of this to you. And on the right here, we're just looking at Wikipedia research for Ken McCallum. And it says that Douglas McCallum, born in 1974, is a British intelligence officer who has been serving as the Director General for MI5 since 2020. What they are not telling you is that they are all involved in international government fraud, including the intelligence agencies linked to Russia, the politicians here in the UK, the monarchy, the US, and international governments, which is allowing them to defraud the masses through the taxation system through a criminal process of the forgery of the company's house registration system. It's absolutely vast, and it links through to the world's conflicts. And that is because all of the time that they can maintain the element of fear in the masses, then they can then justify or claim to justify pumping more tax contributions through into defence contracts. So what we're going to do is look at Companies House records for Kenneth McCallum. Now, there's two that jump out. Okay, there's none in the top ones for the exact date of birth, but there has been no verification of anybody's details for any company and corporations, so we have to rely on where it leads from that research to give us a very good idea as to who these people are. So there's two entries here, both for people born 1971, and what I'm finding is a lot of the people linked to the fraud they're using the date of birth 1971 probably because the World Economic Forum, which is key to what we're seeing now with all of these agendas, started in 1971. So let's have a look at this one. So one Kenneth McCallum entry links to McCallum Limited. Okay, and you can see on the right has an address of 7 Bell Yard. Well, that immediately links to the government's fraud. I've already seen that. It's featured in one of my last documents, or in one of the last documents I've done. And they were appointed on the 10th of May 2024. Okay, so as I'm exposing this fraud, this person has been appointed to this address, okay, with the same name as the head of MI5. And here we are looking at that person. Within that record, we can see they've got 3 companies, either previous or current, linked to them. And they've resigned from this next one, Otis Wood Ventures. On the right there, you can see Otis Wood Ventures. They resigned on the 10th of May 2024, the same day that they were appointed at another company. Okay, so let's have a look at Otis Wood Ventures Limited. Here they are, incorporated in 2020. And just to confirm that there is a Kenneth McCallum on the incorporation document. And he's also linked on the right there. You can see a company called Start Design Group Limited. Here's Start Design Group Limited. And it was originally called Ellison Limited on the bottom left there changed its name in 2020 in May to New Start in brackets London, and then changed its name again in November 2020. But on the incorporation document, we can see we have David Blair and Kenneth McCallum. Blair, interesting choice, isn't it? And when you search, this is an element of the fraud. Now remember, Mr. McCallum, the head of MI5, will no doubt know about what is happening through the company's house records, okay? Nobody's doing a thing about it. In fact, they're completely ignoring all evidence, okay, in relation to it. The last several submissions of evidence, it's very clear that they are complicit to allowing this to happen deliberately. And here we are, we have an element of this fraud where there are duplication of records. So you can see within this company that record related to, we have David Arthur Blair with the date of birth on the left, June 1970. When you search David Arthur Blair, you have other entries come up with the same date of birth. Look, June 1970, David Arthur Blair. So let's see where that leads. And you can see that the second entry on the right hand side in the bottom of the box there is an address in Sherborne in Dorset. This is where my company was based, or still is, Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, where I acquired forged bank documents from there linked to the intelligence agencies, to the police, to the NHS, to Russia, to Ukraine, to international government fraud, to the monarchy. It's absolutely vast. So we have an address here of Dorset. So let's look at that entry leads to Fitch Design Consultants Limited, which dissolved as I'm reporting the fraud in 2023 here. You can see it dissolved on the 21st of November 2023 on the bottom right hand corner there. Fitch Design Consultants Limited. Now I suspect recently the owner of Abercrombie and Fitch is being investigated for child trafficking. I suspect Fitch Design Consultants may link back into Abercrombie and Fitch. And as we look at this company, Fitch Design Consultants Limited, we can see that it had a company name of Fitch and Company in brackets Design Consultants Limited from 1960 to 1982. So that should match the incorporation documents and documents attached to the filing history, but it doesn't. It's a forged company. It's fraudulent. It should never have been trading, because you can see that on the company document here, it has OMAS fame. Declared in Edinburgh, 9th of March 1960. But when you look at the register, you have that company is not registered on the overview page, and it's in March 1960, but we know it was a UK registration, so it should have been entered here because it was in Edinburgh. You can see here. So it's registered in Edinburgh, 9th of March 1960, but it's never been registered under that name. So it is a fraudulent criminal entity, and let's see where it leads. So from that company, you then have Graham Cartledge, who was a director, appointed in 1991 and resigned in 1992. He is linked to a company called China Britain Business Council. Now, these companies that we're looking at have recently featured in my latest research around the fraud. And here we are, UK India Business Council. Okay, so these are very important companies. It very likely is that Kenneth or somebody else has used false details for him. Now, remember, the government are ignoring my concerns about this completely. I suspect they want this to happen. They are part of this because it allows the ability to launder money from tax contributions, and it will be worth trillions through these illegal entity companies, defrauding the general public of all of this money. And this is, so we're now looking at Oak Tree Properties Limited. And you can see that appears to be a forged a forged incorporation document. You can see within the red box there, the lines either side of the company name are missing. The company name is in a different font from the rest of the document. Also, this address features throughout the fraud, Old Street, that's on there. And further down on the document, you have Stanley Davis Company Services. Well, Stanley Davis Group and Stanley Davis Company Services linked throughout the fraud and are also linked to the child trafficking. So within Oak Tree Properties, that has featured before. Okay, in my research, that company has featured before. And I haven't focused on it, but I have seen it a few times. And here we are, we have a Paul Kilminster within there. And they link to Hillcrest Court, Fulham Market Management Company on the right there. And they have an address of in Fareham in Hampshire. Now remember, this is very important because Hampshire is where the link to the person within Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited has a specific jurisdiction in the NHS, but also for Hampshire, Isle of Wight and Dorset. So we now have a link to Hampshire. And that actual address, Office Village, has featured throughout the fraud. So this company was incorporated in 1988 on the top right there. And on the incorporation document, very important, you have Nigel Leonard Blood that features throughout the fraud, links to the child trafficking, it links to Jeffrey Epstein, Max Clifford, and it's the London Law Agency, you can see on the bottom of the document, is a fraudulent company. When you research that company, the incorporation document is actually Ganvalon Motors. That has never actually been registered under that record. So that is a criminal organisation, a fraudulent organisation. Back into Hillcrest, we're looking at Charles Lucas. And he's linked to Hollygate Kings Heath Management Company in Worcestershire. And when you click on that and look at the company, it has an address that has recently been featuring throughout my latest few documents of Queensway House, 11 Queensway, New Milton, Hampshire, England. And just to show you, there's various companies that person is linked to with the same address. So that address now links this through very closely to the recent fraud research, including, I believe, Julian Assange. That address was on the Julian Assange document. And remember, there's over 5 million registered companies. So to find these links so quickly is almost impossible. And of course, there's fraudulent documents, fraudulent companies throughout, and linked to some very significant organisations between international councils as well. So I suspect that Mr. McCallum knows exactly what he is part of with this record. If not, Ken, please get in touch with me. You know, I know you probably think I'm insignificant and nobody. Talk to me. Somebody contact me. My email address is garythetruthsetsustree@gmail.com. garythetruthsetsustree@gmail.com. At the moment, it's looking like you are all involved in international government fraud against the general public linked to child trafficking and abuse, and it must stop. The government are allowing this non-verification of company incorporations, the forgery of documents, the forgery of the register. Only our government can be doing that because they control the register. The duplication of very clearly the same people to try and hide the fraud, try and hide the deception and the crimes against humanity that have been occurring. I haven't had any time to go more in depth in relation to Mr. McCallum, but I'll publicise this for now. God bless you all.